Okay. Hello, everybody. I thought this was probably appropriate to start reviewing these movies now, seeing as I don't think I've really actually watched this particular film that I'm about to review, since it actually came out in, what was it, 2009, I think? Has it really been that long? Oh my God, it's been uh, thir 13 years? Yeah, 13 years? Wow, that seems insane. But the movie I'm talking about is Avatar, and they are going to be re-releasing it in theaters this weekend as of September 23rd, which I'm super pumped for because it says on all platforms, so I'm kind of wondering what extras they're going to put out for the movie. And obviously it's going to be, I'm hoping it's in 3D and in D-Box because that would be the most enjoyable experience, I think, to go and see it, because I remember going to see it in theaters when it came out. I can't even remember who I went to see it with now, but it was just like, it was one of those. It's one of those movies that was just way ahead of its time, kind of similar to, I think, Ready Player One was just another one of those movies that this could be compared to, as far as like just you've seen it in theaters and it's just not comparable outside of theaters, which I think is why it was like such an experience to go see it in 3D, because I believe this was really the very first movie in 3D where they had switched it to like instead of the old classic red and blue glasses, which I actually have in one of my Friday the 13th movies. This was the first movie where it was in Real D 3D, or it might have just been called Real 3D back then. I can't even remember. Um, it's changed so much, but I mean, now 3D has become um, kind of like a kind of like a staple, I guess, for a lot of movies. They seem to do it. Some of them, I guess, I understand it, and then other movies, I'm kind of like, meh, that was didn't really need to be 3D. It could have just been two-dimensional. It would have been absolutely fine. But this movie in 3D was just, yeah, an immersive experience. And going back and watching it again, I actually didn't really remember much of the story because it had been so long since I'd seen it. I think I've tried to watch it like a couple times before, and I only get so far, and then I'm like, it just doesn't feel right now to watch it. But now that it's being re-released in theaters again, yeah, definitely the time to be watching it. And I actually have the Blu-ray collector's edition because I'm a sucker for uh, collecting stuff like that. And I can't even remember where I found this actually. So yeah, but it was really cool to be able to have it in my collection anyway of movies, because I have a very large collection of movies, and I keep going to this pawn shop near where I live called Greenbacks that sells movies and Blu-rays, and I keep collecting even more because some movies I just like to have hard copies of, if I can find them. Even though I know I can watch them on digital, sometimes it's just nice to be able to just kick back and have a movie night if your internet or power or whatever goes out, right? I guess internet, because if the power went out, you wouldn't watch anything. But I do have a laptop that I can watch stuff on too, so I guess technically I could maybe fit in one movie before the laptop dies. But anyway, this is about um, Sam Worthington's character, Jake Sully. His brother ends up dying, and I guess his brother was the scientist, and he's the Marine. So he ends up taking over for his brother's spot to fill, yeah, filling in for his brother, and he gets to see the science side of things with Dr. Grace Augustine, who is played by Sigourney Weaver, who just does a fantastic film, no matter what film she's in. And this had a pretty star-studded cast, actually. Um, as far as as far as back in 2009 went, hey, because yeah, like it just seems pretty crazy. Oh wow, he played. Oh cool, that's even cooler. Um, so yeah, and then Zoe Saldana plays his love interest, Natiri. Um, I don't know why it says as Zoe Saldana. That just makes sense. Anyway, sometimes the way they word it here on IMDb is a little weird. And Michelle Rodriguez played Trudy Chasson, I guess. and Stephen Lang played Colonel Miles Quaritch. Uh, Giovanni Ribisi played Parker Seltridge, who was just kind of like, I guess, the leader of the operation, or as the avatars called them, the Sky People. So basically, they had recreated the they had recreated the native tribe on Pandora is the name of the planet, and they were able to. Did they call it sleepwalking? I think. Uh, anyway, they were able to recreate the actual avatars from the planet, and they were able to inhabit the body of an avatar. Um, so that was pretty cool. They were able to link with the created avatars that they had made. But I guess the real native avatars to the land knew which ones were. Um, I think they called them ghost. Um, uh, Ghost something. Oh God, this movie was so long. It's just like there's so much to remember, right? Um, but yeah, they considered them aliens because they weren't really real avatars. But he does end up, um, I believe, using was it the Tree of Life that they called it? I think. God, see, there's so much in this movie to remember. Hopefully, I remember. Hopefully, when I watch the special edition re-release, I can remember a little bit more. But uh, what was I saying? So yeah, they're able to link with the avatars, which is pretty cool. And he reports back to the colonel. Um, yeah, Jake reports back to the colonel with all the information about the avatars and oh no, the tree of I think the tree of life was on top of the mineral that they wanted. Maybe that was it. And was it Aowen or Awa? It was either Aowen or Awa, I think, was the deity that they believed helped them through life. So also pretty cool. They all believed in the same thing, and it ended up being very beneficial for them because I believe at the end, either Aowen or Awa was able to hear Jake's call for all of the avatars and all of the creatures in the land to come together and take down what they called the Sky People. So kind of throughout this film, he ends up transitioning from what the avatars called a Sky Person into an actual avatar because I swear to God, it must have been the Tree of Life that they used because he tried to save Grace at one point too when she was dying, and it didn't work. So the other tree that the military ends up taking down, what was it called? See, they had so many sacred things to them on their planet that sometimes it's hard to remember which one's which. But I think the Tree of Life was the one that they used to move move the human body into the avatar body, and he becomes an avatar at the end of the movie, if I'm remembering correctly. And I couldn't remember how he became an avatar again until I was actually watching the movie, and the Colonel tries to actually wake him up out of his sleep the last time, and almost is successful in killing him, but what's her name is able to Ntiri is able to save him, luckily. And the person who Ntiri was supposed to end up with was actually Tutste or Tutse, and that didn't go as planned, obviously. And she ends up being with Jake, right? She falls in love with him because she's training him to become an avatar, even though she knows there's a human in there. And then she actually does end up getting to meet the human version of him for a very small period of time. Obviously, in order to save him, because she doesn't want to end up losing him, because he's actually become a valuable member of the avatars himself. So it was good that she was able to save him. Yeah, lots of sad moments in this movie. Obviously, I think the I could honestly argue that it was probably the saddest cinematic moment ever when the military decided to take the tree down just for their own personal gain, and at least the one guy who was kind of the head of the operation, Parker, ended up having, um, I think, a little bit of regret about what he had done because he had seen the damage he had done and he realized that maybe what he was trying to do in the beginning wasn't worth it in the end. And he was just hurting not only the people that were, or yeah, he was not only hurting the avatars that were already on the planet and indigenous to the land, but he was also hurting his own people because they were inhabiting the bodies of avatars and he was also killing them in the process. So I think he had guilt for obviously both sides of the spectrum, and once he had seen the damage he had done, I think he realized that yeah, he had screwed up obviously and probably wanted to make amends for what he had done, but I don't think he he will ever really be able to fully recover from the damage he's done to the planet Pandora. Yeah, because that was a massive tree. Like, the tree was basically their, like, home, um, kind of where they lived. Obviously, there were other Avatar tribes or clans, whichever you want to call them, all across the land, and they were able to go and speak to them to build a big enough army to take down the Sky People. So, yeah, huge battle scene at the end was just absolutely epic. And unfortunately, we lose a lot of really good characters in this film. Obviously, Michelle Rodriguez's character gets lost because she decides to help the avatars at the end. So Trudy ends up dying, Grace ends up dying. So I think it's just honestly uh, Jake and Natiri and a couple of the other main avatars alive because Tutsi ends up dying as well. So as well as I'm trying to think of who else ended up dying out of the avatars. It must have been the. It must have been a a toucan. It must have been a toucan, the older one, that ended up dying when the tree fell, if I'm remembering correctly. I think it was him because that's when Natiri tells Jake to leave and never come back, and then he is able to actually link with the what was the creature called? I'm trying to remember the names of all the creatures now too, because they end up being what saves the avatars in the end from the Sky People, because they all just fly in and absolutely demolish every ship. And then Jake has his one final fight with the Colonel, and then the Colonel actually ends up getting killed by Natiri at the end. So yeah, everybody had their protector, I guess. Obviously, except for a couple of the avatars that ended up dying. But I mean, they literally just sacrificed themselves for the greater good, to be completely honest. Wes Studi played a toucan, and Laz Alonso played Tutsi, which is funny because he's actually in The Boys now, so totally different. A huge change up from what yeah, huge change up from what he played back then, for sure. Yeah, so I'm actually going to look up who is in the new Avatar movie. So yeah, also we got a new doctor. So Natiri and Jake are in this. Oh, okay. Sigourney Weaver is in this movie. So I'm kind of interested as to who she's actually gonna end up playing. Somehow, I guess he wouldn't be Colonel anymore because he'd probably just be trapped by him. So yeah, but I guess he's in this. Hmm. Very interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how they bring everybody back because this is supposed to be a continuation, right? So yeah, going to be interesting to see how they bring everybody back, especially Sigourney Weaver's character because she died. Like And yeah, I'm not sure how they're gonna bring back uh, Miles either, right? Because he has the same name in this movie, does he not? So that's interesting. So she must be voicing an Avatar. But yeah, how are they gonna bring him back? Now I'm intrigued. Now I'm really intrigued. Um, so yeah, like who else is in the other ones? Well, I guess we kind of know that obviously Jake makes it through all the movies, and it looks like Zoldana's gonna make it through all the movies. Interesting. And then she's back as this is very weird. I'm honestly interested to see how they're gonna bring back her character. Interesting. Wow, this is just gonna be wild. How many battles are they gonna go through? Like seriously. Because now Avatar 3 is, oh, in post production. Okay. So they filmed, wow, that's interesting. So they filmed 2 and 3. Okay. They just don't have a name for it yet. And then Avatar 4 is currently filming as well as Avatar 5. And the release date for it is 2028. So, wow, I'm gonna be in my 30s before this movie even comes out. Good God. Because I'm turning 29 this year. So 2028, how old am I gonna be? Now I'm just calculating, now I'm just interested in the storyline of what it's gonna be next. I'm going to be 35 by the time the last Avatar movie comes out, which just seems crazy because it was supposed to come out in 2012, and then it was delayed until 2016, and then there was just like no news on it for years, and then all of a sudden it was just like, boom, here's the trailer for the new one. You just sat down in a theater, and then all of a sudden it's just like, what's this? It's like, oh my God, there's another Avatar movie coming out. That's kind of what it was like. Because there was really no announcement, and then all of a sudden it's just like, oh, there's going to be 4 more films actually, not just one. So you can look forward to a film every 2 years for the next 6 years. That's just this seems wild to me, right? Like 2022, 2024, 2026, and then 2028. So I guess, yeah, right? Because yeah, 2022 till 2024, that's 2 years. And then, yeah, 2026, 4 years, and then 2028, six years. Yeah, that's right. My math is right on that. I don't really know what else I can say about the original theatrical release. Um, I guess just the visuals were absolutely stunning, obviously, in this film, but I think we all know that if we've seen it before. And the storyline just was just really well done. And yeah, obviously, if you've seen the trailer for the newer one, you know that they have taken the time, just like they did with this one, because they've had the time to do it, to make it look absolutely real. And even the scenes where they're like underwater in the new one look incredible. I mean, this one still holds up. Now, obviously, some of the CGI you can tell it's fake now compared to when it first came out, but I mean, this film will probably hold up for. I mean, if they keep releasing it on new platforms and they keep tweaking it just a touch each time, I mean, I imagine this movie's probably out in 4K now. So, I mean, and now we have 8K. So, every time they just kind of upgrade the graphics and maybe tweak a little bit of the animation within the film, I mean, this film is gonna, yeah, be good forever because you can just go in and touch it up each time you're upgrading it onto uh, a newer platform or a newer resolution. You can always just go in and touch it up a little bit, which is cool to think about, honestly. Uh, so yeah, I'm gonna sit back and enjoy the special edition re-release now with an additional 8 minutes of footage and then I have the collector's extended cut with an additional 16 minutes of footage. So pretty wild. I guess we'll see, kind of talk about what I notice more in the second review as to what is the additional footage and if it makes a huge difference in the film, or whether it was just kind of, maybe some like kind of smaller things that you don't really pick up on. We'll see. Anyway, but yeah, that's my review for the first one anyway, and obviously I give this movie a 10 out of 10. I'm trying not to do that with too many movies anymore, and I actually looked up on my IMDb list how many movies how many movies and shows I've rated a 10, and it's actually a lot lower than I would have expected it to be because but yeah, I guess I do give an honest rating then. More honest. Yeah, I guess I really do give a true honest rating for all of my films because I thought maybe for a while there that I was giving tens to everything, but yeah, I don't think I do it as much as I thought I did, I guess. So yeah, we will see you guys in the next review. Bye bye for now.